Got an exciting problem today. Two trains start towards each other from towns 144 miles apart and meet in 4 hours. If one train goes 6 miles an hour faster than the other, what is the rate of each train? I love these problems. I think they're really interesting because there's a lot of freedom of how you go about solving this. And there's a lot of layers to it and a lot of different methods that you might learn throughout your time, like in any sort of math class. Like if you're looking at this problem like an elementary algebra type of class compared to intermediate algebra, there might be some difference in how you set it up. But I'm just going to go what makes sense to me when solving this. So I have two trains, and they start towards each other from towns 144 miles apart. So that's important to understand, that we have town A and town B over here, and they're heading towards each other, and the towns are 144 miles apart. So it's really important to understand that number, that the towns are 144 miles apart. All right, so we have these trains coming together, and they're going to meet at some point. Just call right there, whatever. This point, they meet in 4 hours. So it's another key piece of information. This train, A to this point, town A to the middle point here, I'll just call it town C or whatever, that's going to be 4 hours of travel. Same thing with the train leaving from town B. That's going to be 4 hours of travel. So something else to keep in mind. What I like to do when I am solving these problems is I like to look at a table. Distance equals rate times time. Sometimes that's going to help. Sometimes it might not be extremely useful or might not be extremely necessary, but just to organize our information and get an understanding. So I'm going to call train A and train B just because I have my picture here. So let's just fill in some gaps. We know one train goes 6 miles an hour faster than the other, so we don't know information about the other, right? It says 6 miles an hour faster than the other. So I'm going to call this one X. I'm going to call this one X plus 6. Because one of them is going 6 miles an hour faster. So I'll just say that this B is going X plus 6 rate, and this is going X. The time, we know both trains traveled at a time of 4 hours, right? Like they both were traveling for 4 hours because it says in 4 hours. So we start, 4 hours, stop, we've met up. Okay, so the distance, now I know it says that the question says they start 144 miles apart. That doesn't mean that this train traveled 144 miles or this train traveled 144 miles. The towns are 144 miles apart and then they've met. So maybe this train maybe this train traveled 100 miles and this train traveled 44 miles. Or something like that. Maybe some combination. So we don't know exactly. So I'm going to call my distance my rate times time. 4x and 4 times x plus 6. Okay. So I have the distance of how far train A went with 4x. So if x is the rate is 20 miles an hour, the distance would be 4 times 20. Rate is 30 miles an hour, 4 times 30, and so on. Whatever the rate is, I'm just going to multiply it by the time. That tells me my distance. It's like if you're driving in a car, you're going at 60 miles an hour. You go for 1 hour. How far have you traveled? You got 60 miles because you traveled for 1 hour. It's just like that calculation that you're making all the time when you are driving. And then for train B, it's going at a rate of x plus 6. So if the train A is going at 30 miles an hour, this is going at 36 miles an hour times the 4 hours. This is going 40 miles an hour, 46 times the 4 hours. That will give us our distance. So we know the distances of these two trains. Put them together, they've gone 144 miles. So I'm going to take train A, which is 4x, plus train B, which is 4 times x plus 6, equal to the total distance, 144. I'm going to distribute 4x plus 4x plus 24 equals 144. Now we just solve. Like I just distributed, I start solving. So 4x plus 4x is 8x plus 24 equals 144. I'm going to subtract 24 from both sides. And that means I'm going to get 8x equals 120. I'm going to divide by 8. I get x equals 15. So x equals 15, what does the question ask? The question asks, what is the rate of each train? So you always got to make sure you're going back reading the question fully. So train A and train B. Train A was just x. So train A is traveling at 15 miles per hour. And then train B is traveling at a rate of 15 plus 6. So train B is traveling at a rate of 21 miles per hour based off that x value that we just calculated. So we took train A's distance plus train B's distance, and the total distance put together is that 144, and then it's a solving equation exercise from there. And then at the end, make sure you're actually answering the question, what is the rate of each train? X is equal to 15, so train A went 15. X is equal to 15, so train B went 15 plus 6, which is 21. So, yeah, kind of a tough question.